Hello.
ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಎಕೋ ಆಗಿದೆ.
So Nitish, Sindhuja, and Mohana Lakshmi. Mohana Lakshmi, can you hear me?
Sir, yes, sir. I can hear you.
Okay, Sindhuja.
Yes, sir. கேக்குதுங்க sir.
Nitish also. I assume Nitish also. You start. So good afternoon, all of you. My name is Vipin Saini. 2014 batch IRPS officer. So I have written civil services exam for 3 times, 2013, 14, and 15. I've reached up to interview stage all 3 times, and my optional was history. As far as your exam is concerned, history nowadays, prelims exam, if you will see, many questions are being asked. I'm talking about all three parts in prelims exam: ancient, medieval, and modern India, right? And many a times, even in your art and culture portion also, history plays an important role. Okay, so this subject is quite important. You cannot skip it, even even if you are having Tamil literature as your optional. So history will play an important role in your prelims exam and in your mains exam, especially GS paper one. Okay, uh, because this is July, so we will first cover the mains portion. World history comes only in your mains exam. It does not come in your prelims exam. So we'll cover world history. I think it will take around 1.5 months. After that, we'll start our prelims portion: ancient, medieval, and modern India. Okay, so that revision, when you will do revision, so you will be quite afresh in terms of learning. Like 3 4 months back only you have covered syllabus, then another revision you will give before your prelims. So ideally, you are supposed to cover your syllabus first reading, then before prelims at least two revision if you will give, you will be comfortable, you will find yourself comfortable if you are starting afresh. So today, world history we are going to start, and the first topic of world history is French Revolution. Okay, now before we start this, let us have some glimpse on the map, and then I'll ask you some small terminologies. We will understand the basic of those terminologies, then we'll start with the revolution. Okay, before we start, I just want to know the educational background, whoever is present here at least. So, what is your educational background, ma'am? Okay, engineering. Which stream? Triple E, ma'am. Maths, BSc Maths. Okay, ma'am. Oh, economics. Okay, so then one portion of your syllabus is already covered, right? Yeah. Okay, great. And economics is always an important part right from the evolution of mankind, right? So, what is your educational background? BSc Computer. Okay. Online students, I'll interact later on. So, straight away, let us discuss some of the terminologies. And I'll start with the very basic things. Okay. Then later on, we will develop some advanced uh, discussion in the topic. So, let me start with a word: democracy. What do we understand by democracy? Yes, ma'am. Freedom for the people. Okay. Any other idea? Anything? Direct representation. Okay. You see that very popular quote: "Rule by the people, for of the rule of the people, for the people, by the people." Right. So ultimately, people are the supreme. Right. So we have heard it. Democracy ultimately rule by the people for themselves, for their welfare. So just a layman understanding. And nowadays we have heard pillars of democracy. There are three or four or maybe five pillars of democracy. What do we understand? What are those pillars of democracy? Media. Okay, very good. No, no, pillars of democracy. When we say executive, legislature, judiciary, and then fourth pillar is media, right? So these are the agencies, or these are the entities which, acha, I'm being too close. Camera is not on. Okay. So four pillars of democracy we have heard. executive, legislature, judiciary, and the media or press. Okay. So if any one of these pillars will not function properly, it means democracy somewhere gets affected, badly affected, right? For example, nowadays, media. Media is not playing its role. Either it aligns with the ruling government or the other way. It is playing in a biased manner. Okay, so ultimately people are getting affected. For example, unemployment, etc. Nobody is raising these issues. Everybody is saying Hindu, Muslim, and all those communal things, right? So core issues of the people are not being raised. So one of the pillar of democracy is not functioning properly. It is supposed to function. Similarly, other pillars. So if we say legislature, what is the role of legislature? What do they do? Legislature. Can you speak a bit loud? I hear law making. Very good. Okay, so legislature का role है making of the law. And then what executives do? Administration or the implementation of the laws made by legislature. So two different domains. One will make law, one will implement law. Then what is the role of judiciary? Give justice. Justice means what? Whether laws are being implemented properly, whether laws are being formulated properly as per certain parameters. जिसमें से constitution is one of the parameters, right? So whether laws are being made as per the provisions of the constitution, right? So judiciary plays a kind of check on legislatives and the executives. Similarly, all three entities kind of counter check each other, right? Okay. Now, I'm not going too deep because anyway you are going to cover it in the polity. Just basic understanding you are having, and you are already having that understanding. Now, when we say government, there are three, four kinds of government, right? Have you heard the word monarchy? Have you heard the word constitutional monarchy? Absolute monarchy, constitutional monarchy, and then the word republic. Okay, we'll see that. Uh, so let us start with the slides. I'll explain in between, and then we'll go on to the revolution part. So this is the popular portrait or the painting made about French Revolution. This is the map of Europe at the time of French Revolution. French Revolution, we'll see what is a revolution, what is French Revolution, when it has happened, whether it was only single incident or many events that have happened during this. So before we go deeper into that, let us understand the map. And this map is going to play role in your current affairs as well. We will start from here. We will reach up to the current international relation. Okay, the equation of Russia, France, Germany, Britain, okay, Turkey. So that equation today also, whatever equation was there, by and large, today also similar equation prevails in Europe. So ultimately, it will play an important role in your current affairs also. Okay, so please focus and try to understand, right? You can note down also. I'll share the slides wherever some important points which are not mentioned in the slides, you can note down, right? So now if you see the map, this portion is France. This is France. Here it is Spain. Whenever you are preparing for your prelims exam, for that matter, geography or any issue, current affairs also. For example, Manipur. Nowadays it is burning, Manipur. So you see where Manipur is in Indian map, what are its surrounding states, and what is the rough geography of Manipur. They are talking, for example, Manipur, if I say there is a valley area, there are some hilly area. Okay. So two different kind of tribes, rather than two, more than two tribes are remaining. Main tribes are Methi and Cookies, right? So valley area में which tribe is living, and hill area में which tribe is living. Cookies are living, and the valley area Methi tribes are living. So like that, you please, yeah, thank you. So like that, you please make a habit of going through the maps. It will imprint in your mind. Okay. So that is why this exercise we are doing before going ahead. So this is France. This is Spain. Now at that time, at the time of revolution, there was something called as Prussia. Prussia. Okay. Later on, Germany, today's Germany, it became part of Prussia. Means, Prussia was enlarged and it became Germany. So today's Germany is basically Prussia. Then we are seeing here some kind of empire. They have written Habsburg Empire, but this is basically Austria, and this is Hungary. That time, Austria and Hungary were together. Okay, acha. And this is West German area in between France, Prussia, and Austria. This area is called as Rhineland area. Very, very important area. All over your world history, this area will be disputed. Hitler, World War One. Even today, okay, not that much, but from 1789 to World War Two, Rhineland will play its role in the world wars. Okay, so this is the Rhineland area. River Rhine is flowing through this area. River Rhine, like our River Ganga. So there is River Rhine, Rhin, Rhine. Okay, so this area is Rhineland area. So it is between France and Prussia mainly. This side Austria. Okay, now like India, Chola dynasty, यहाँ पे Tanjavur or whatever area, Chola dynasty was ruling. Similarly, Pandyans, Cheras. So likewise, some dynasties were ruling in Europe at that time. Okay, so what are those dynasties? France, this biscuit you might have heard, Bourbon biscuit. So Bourbon dynasty was ruling in France. And the relatives of these people only were also ruling in Spain. So Bourbon again in Spain. Right. Habsburg. Two, three dynasties you note down. Bourbon, Habsburg. Austria-Hungary, it was common together. Habsburg dynasty was ruling in Austria-Hungary. Okay. Now, here this is Italy. This is Italy. Okay. So France, Spain, Rhineland area, Prussia, Austria, Italy. And this area was completely Russian. Okay. So just understand the location. Rough map, rough circles you can make in your listing, or else it is also okay. So Spain, France, Rhineland, Prussia, Austria-Hungary, Italy, Russia. Now, okay. Acha, before we go ahead, let me give you the glimpse of the topics which we are going to cover in world history. Okay, so that you have a map. Uh, so first we are going to cover French Revolution, which we are going to cover today. So French Revolution has happened in 1789. It was followed by two, three more revolutions, which will happen in 1830 and 1848. That is a part or extension of French Revolution only. Okay. So after that, we are going to see Italian unification. Italy was different entities were there, like India. India was not complete India as it is today. Somewhere Guptas were ruling, somewhere Cholas were ruling. So it was not a complete one nation. So likewise, Italy was also not a complete one nation. Different entities were there. So Italian unification. Then we will see German unification. German unification. Germany was also an entity like this, like we have seen in this map. Prussia, Rhineland area, some area under Austria-Hungary. So all were combined, and today's Germany was formed. After German unification में one person has played an important role. That person's name is Bismarck. Okay, we will study about him. We will write something about him. This guy, because of his foreign policy, because of his diplomacy, he created an environment of suspicion. For example, today, Joe Biden, for that matter, or Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Narendra Modi will not take it as an example. We'll take Joe Biden only, or what is the Xi Jinping, na, China's. So these guys, because of their diplomacy, if they create an environment of suspicion among various nations, oh, this nation is planning something against me. This country is planning, Pakistan is planning something against me. So like that, Bismarck created an environment in Europe, specifically, the environment of suspicion. So France was doubting uh, Germany, Britain was doubting Russia. So like that environment was created, which ultimately resulted into World War One. Okay, so the next topic after Bismarck and his foreign policy. Bismarck and his foreign policy we are going to see, and then we will see World War One. Okay, what were the causes of World War One? World War One has happened from 1914 to 18. 1914 to 18. And then after World War, there was a gap of almost 20 years. World War Two has happened in 1939. Okay, so during those 20 years, certain phenomena, certain events have happened. For example, uh, rise of Hitler, rise of Mussolini. After World War One, five treaties have happened. We will see that, no problem. I'll not mention it now. We'll see it later on. Five treaties. One of the most important treaties is the Treaty of Versailles, in which Germany was humiliated. Okay, which became cause of World War Two. Anyway, we will see that. So Hitler and Mussolini के बारे में we will see what they have done, how they have spoiled the environment of the world, which ultimately resulted into World War Two. इसी में ही one more topic is there, appeasement policy of Western powers. Western powers means Britain, France, basically Britain and France. Others are also there. These were US to some extent, United States. So appeasement policy of Western powers. The next topic will be World War Two. World War Two. Should I rub it? So next will be, there was after World War Two, the world was divided in two big poles or two big parts. One side Russia was there, big power. Russia means USSR at the time. We will see why it is called as USSR. And other side USA was there. So world was divided in two poles. So they were basically not fighting directly, but they were against each other. Their policies were against each other. So that period from 1945 even till 1990s, it is called as Cold War period. In this period, many events have happened. For example, disintegration of USSR means Russia was disintegrated. Disintegration of USSR. Before that, certain events have happened. We will see the sequence of events. Unification of Europe. Today, you see that European Union. You have heard this name, European Union, right? You might have heard. So they are a kind of combined, integrated economy. So we will see how it culminated into unification, how it finalized into unification after World War II. Then some independent topics we are going to cover, various revolutions like French Revolution we have seen, American War of Independence we are going to see, that is a part of your syllabus. So American War of Independence or American Revolution you can say. In that Civil War also, during Abraham Lincoln there was a civil war in America, that we will see Civil War in America in 1860s. Then we will see Chinese Revolution, Russian Revolution. Okay. Other independent topics, certain events, for example, Vietnam, America's access or America undemocratically they invaded Vietnam, they fought with Vietnam War we call it. So we are going to see Vietnam War. Then Korean War, about Korea, North Korea and South Korea. Then we are going to see something about Arab world. Arab world, Suez Canal crisis. Suez Canal you might have heard. Okay. Then colonization and decolonization. Colonization, decolonization. So these are the terminologies which we are going to see, and how the bigger powers like Britain, USA colonized some of the areas. What are different types of colonization? What is imperialism? Various terms are there. Imperialism, neo-imperialism. So these terms we are going to see. Apart from this, some other terms: capitalism, communism, socialism, right? So capitalism, communism, socialism, right? Then UNO and non-alignment movement by India, NAM, non-alignment movement. By and large, this is the syllabus of world history. Mains exam, uh, 4 to 5 questions. 4 to 5 question means uh, 70 to 80 marks. So that much marks out of 250 world history is covering. Okay. So let us start the French Revolution. Now, these are some sample questions, not exactly from GS paper I have picked up, but these are the type of question they are going to ask from this topic. For example, they are saying if there would have been no Rousseau, Rousseau was a philosopher, French philosopher. If there would have been no Rousseau, there would have been no revolution in France. Okay, critically examine, critically examine, because coverage of syllabus anyway we can do, that is not an issue. Understanding these things is more important, so let me cover these things. What do we understand by examine? What do we understand by discuss? What do we understand by critically examine? Okay, so now 3 4 terminologies I'll write. So first is, if somebody says substantiate, as this is a mains topic, so straight away I'm coming on to the mains question, what kind of language they're going to use. So they will use this word substantiate. For example, same question: French Revolution would have not been possible without philosophers. Substantiate. So what do we understand by that? So substantiate means the question setter wants you to give examples. So he wants you to strengthen this argument. So you have to put your examples in the support of this argument. If the word is substantiate. For example, if I say rather than madam is from economics, economics is my favorite subject, so I'll frame a question on economics. Rather than focusing on manufacturing sector, India should further strengthen its service sector. It will be more beneficial for the growth of Indian economy and for more job creation. Substantiate, even though this statement is slightly awkward, substantiate. If I say substantiate, then you have to give examples in favor of this statement, right? Or rather than creating jobs in formal sector, India should focus on creating an environment for informal sectors. Substantiate. We will see when we will cover economics, then we'll get to know what is formal sector, what is informal sector. So the point is, informal sector provides more employment, right? So we have to give example like that. Am I right, ma'am? Am I making sense? No, no. If you disagree, you can tell and you can discuss. Okay. So ultimately, the point is substantiate means you have to give example in support of the argument. Now, if somebody say discuss, discuss means you just have to explain whatever thing is there. Uh, there are various obstacles. There are various obstacles before India in harnessing its demographic dividend? Discuss. So you have to tell, okay, what is demographic dividend? What are the obstacles? Demographic dividend, what will be the benefit? Right? How we can benefit demographic? And what are the obstacles? Okay. So discuss the normal. You will tell about the issue. So another this thing is discuss. Then there is this word critically examine. Critically examine. So critically examine what you will do, whatever the core issue is there, you will analyze the positive side of the issue, you will analyze the negative side of the issue, and ultimately you will conclude whichever way you can go. Okay. So positive and negative of the issue critically examine. Okay. And then conclusion. Right. Then further elaborate. These are the 4 5. Elaborate means you will further take up that statement, open up that statement completely. What details are involved in that statement? So elaborate means you will open up and give the details of that issue. So these are the 4 5 keywords which generally comes in your exam. Okay. So here what they are saying, if Rousseau was not there, French Revolution would have not happened. You have to critically examine. So what we will do, first we will tell ki if Rousseau would have no, if Rousseau was there, what was his contribution in French Revolution? Then second part we will see if Rousseau would have not been there, what would have happened to French Revolution? And finally we will conclude. Okay, so like that. Similarly, French Revolution was a reaction against social inequality, etc. Critically analyze. So, what is the this side and then the flip side, and then conclude. Right? It can be any side. You can anybody can conclude any way. There is no correct or wrong stand. You have to take your stand. You have to argue for your stand. Right? If you are taking a particular stand, for example, positive side of a thing, I'm arguing. So it means I have more weightage towards positive side. I have to tell negative side also and then positive side, right? So you can take any stand. That's all from the point of view of these keywords. Comment means just you tell what are the things. You need not analyze, right? For example, where is comment? Okay, Napoleon was a child of revolution, right? You will tell why we are calling him a child of revolution. Revolution happened. Revolution created certain kind of circumstances, which ultimately resulted in the rise of Napoleon. Okay, so like that. Comment and discuss are almost same thing. Okay, so these are the topics in French Revolution we are going to cover. What was French Revolution? What were the factors responsible? Why French Revolution happened in France when Europe's conditions were similar? Spain, Prussia, Austria, similar conditions were there. Why French Revolution has happened in France? What was the role of philosophers? There is a word used, enlightenment. What is that? We'll see. Sequence of events, Napoleon, rise of Napoleon, and further 2 3 topics. What is revolution? I have written definition here. What do we understand by revolution? ICT revolution बोलते हैं ना, internet revolution or telecommunication revolution, right? Some abrupt changes, है ना, which transform the era, society, etc. Okay, so the abrupt changes which transform either society or the time period or the technology or whatever. So a fundamental change in power, organizational structure, or system, or the prevalent order in short span of time. Nobody will ask you what is a revolution, just for understanding. Now, forms of government. Just 5-10 minutes back, I was asking you, what do you understand by monarchy? If we say absolute monarchy means there will be somebody called as king. He will have all the powers, executive, legislative, and to great extent judicial powers. So all the powers are confined into one head. The head of the state is not elected, right? Generally, king's elder son, and then his son, like that. The trend is. So absolute monarchy is where sovereignty means authority, okay, or the independence, or various meanings are there. Sovereignty, right? So sovereignty lies in the hands of individual. Individual have powers like executive, judicial, legislative powers, right? What do we understand by constitutional monarchy? Now, what is there any example of absolute monarchy in the world now? Arab countries are absolute monarchy, maybe, huh? Maybe, yeah, UAE. I have not explored it. So UAE, maybe. I am not sure. You can search on Google, right? By and large, today, most of the wherever even some king is there, mostly constitutional monarchy is there, right? Now, what is constitutional monarchy? The king or queen is the head of the state, but they are not ruling as per their own whims and fancies. They are not making laws. There is some separate law making body, and separate constitution is there. Okay, for example, Britain, Queen Elizabeth is there. अभी तो नहीं है. Now the king, क्या नाम है उसका? Whatever his name is, Charles. So he is the head of the state, but the law-making body is there, parliament is there, constitution is there. So the state of the affairs are driven by constitution. So constitution will be there, but head of the state is not elected. So that is constitutional monarchy. Any doubt you can ask me. Understood? Not understood. Okay. This classroom is my empire. I am going to make a rule. I am going to deliver justice if anything happen. I am only going to implement the things. I am the king of here, absolute monarchy. Okay. Now, situation happens. You guys will say, ki, okay, sir, you are the head of the state. You have, we respect you, but allow us to make some rules for ourselves, and you rule by those rules. You govern by those rules. Allow us to make certain laws and appoint somebody, let them deliver justice. So that kind of arrangement is called as constitutional monarchy. King is there, but certain arrangement, not absolutely as per the wish of king, everything is happening. Certain document or certain agreement or arrangement is there by which rule will happen. Okay, it is not absolute. Okay, constitution is there. In absolute monarchy, there is no constitution. As per whims and fancies of the king will have. So Britain, constitution is there, parliament is there, but still their head is king. You will understand when the third term will be discussed. Third term is republic. Okay, republic means the head of the state is elected. Who is the head of the state? Huh? Prime Minister or President? President is the head of the state. President is the head of the state. He is the first citizen, right? So India is a republican state. Britain is constitutional monarchy. It is not absolute monarchy. UAE and Saudi Arabia, you check whether it is absolute monarchy or I assume it might be constitutional monarchy, but anyway, I may be wrong also. I did not inquire into that. You can check it. So, just for understanding, Japan is constitutional monarchy, right? Japan. There is a king in Japan. Acha, let us keep the classes a bit informal. You ask whatever you discuss rather than asking, discuss the things. Yeah. North Korea, actually, you will not call it as nowadays this monarchy term. Exactly. It is kind of monarchy only. You see, but nowadays the term used is dictatorship, right? Autocratic, we call it. Basically, these were also autocratic regimes. But we are living in the modern world. He is not the king, whoever the person. He is not the king of. He has grabbed the power. For example, Pakistan army grabs the power, right? But then they do the election. So they say ki we are the elected representative. So we cannot call that as monarchy. We can call it as dictatorship or autocratic regime, where the people do not have the power in their hand. I'll be called as traitor if I give some example. So I'll not give the example. We have a tendency to shift towards that side. Okay, or any country wherever power is not under control, so that country will have the tendency to go towards autocratic regime. French Revolution. This is just a heading I have written here. Heading is some paragraph I have written here. Uh, Basically, French Revolution happened. People were fed up of the rule which was prevailing in France. For example, here, let me give this absurd example. India, for that matter, currently, whatever government is ruling, if they discriminate among the people, if they impose tax on middle class or the lower class people, rather than exempting tax, for example, rich Ambani, Adani, etc. This is just an example. So, if they exempt them from taxes, they impose taxes on us. They do not take care of employment. They do not take care of the welfare of the people. Uh, they give exemption to the religious leaders. So all those kind of things happen, and then police also start misusing their power. Whomsoever they want to arrest, they will arrest. Whomsoever they want to punish, they will punish. Without trial, they will put somebody in the jail. And judiciary also, for example, goes does not play its role. They also get biased. What will happen? People will get frustrated. Okay, few years, few decades, they will beer. But one day their anger will burst out, like many of the movies we have seen. So same situation happened in French Revolution. So people, they took control of the city in their own hand under the guidance of some leaders. So that is why it is called as French Revolution. So the most important point here will be what were the reasons of French Revolution. This has happened in 1789. They rose against their king. The king's name was Louis XVI. He was the king in 1789, king of France, and he belonged to which dynasty? Bourbon dynasty. So people rose against this man or the rule of this man, and they took control of the situation. They took control of the France. Why they took control of the France? Why they rose against this guy? Because they were frustrated of the excess done by his rule. So I mentioned here, it was the outcome of limitation of politico-administrative, socio-religious, and economic conditions. So political conditions were not good, economic conditions were not good, administrative conditions were not good, social conditions were not good, religious conditions were not good. So let us see the politico-administrative condition of France in 1789. What were the conditions which resulted in French Revolution? So you can put a heading that causes of French Revolution or the reasons of French Revolution or factors responsible for French Revolution, whichever way you want to write. So the French political system was degenerated. French political system was degenerated means kind of in bad shape, which resulted in outbreak of French Revolution. So what were the characteristics of French political system? It was one. It was absolute monarchy. Now you understood, right? So king had all the powers in his hand, rule making, etc. Even though some judicial body was there, but influence of king was, for example, I appoint some minister. Okay, you take care of the judicial part, but ultimately I am controlling him, right? So absolute monarchy was there. The rule was based upon semi-divine character of kingship. Means I am the shadow of the God. I am the messenger of the God. God has sent me to rule you guys. Okay, so that is the semi-divine character of kingship. So that was the notion of the king. King was thinking, I am just okay. Then third characteristic of French polity was it was feudal in outlook. Outlook means character or thought process. Basically, outlook is thought process. So French polity or French political system was feudal. What do you understand by feudal? Let me explain it. Ma'am, do you have any idea? Feudal system? No. Okay. So let me give example of India only. You heard the name of Akbar? This is Indian map. Where Akbar was ruling, means uska center capital किधर था? His capital was in Agra, right? Now Akbar's empire's extent, if you see, it was very large empire. To that extent, he was ruling over. He himself was sitting in Agra. How he was ruling? He appointed certain governors in different places. Pe he has appointed his people. You will take care of the Rajasthan portion. You will take care of the Andhra portion. You will take Tamil Nadu tak he has not reached, but Andhra tak he raha. You will take care of Maharashtra region. Okay. So he used to appoint his governors in the respective areas. What was the role of these governors? These governors, for example, a Maharashtra region, the governor of Maharashtra region, what he will do, he will collect tax from Maharashtra region. He will administer Maharashtra region and with his machinery, executive machinery. He will maintain army there. Army. Maintenance of army is also a characteristic of feudal political system. Okay. So tax collection, administration plus maintenance of army. Similar thing nowadays, Russia mein this Wagner group. Are you reading newspaper? mercenaries, they have used the word mercenaries, no? So they are maintaining separate army groups, and they fight. For example, Akbar had to fight against Maharana Pratap. Okay, now what he will say, he will ask this governor to send army, or he will ask somebody else to send army. Okay, so likewise, this kind of system is called as feudal system. So they were basically governing the area, but ultimately they have their allegiance, they have uh, control of this guy. Okay, and they are maintaining the affairs of this region with their own taxation, etc. So this feudal system was prevalent in France. So the French King Louis XVI, he was ruling the France, but certain small areas में his feudal lords or whatever nobles were maintaining. Okay, so whenever any war happened, they used to send the army. Now, so same thing. The polity was centralized. King was representative of God. He was assumed to be representative of God. He was powerful, despotic. Whatever I'll feel like, I'll do it. है ना? The king was despotic. Okay. The king was, and ideally the king is supposed to be like Bahubali you have seen, right? Bahubali type, strong man. But this guy, even though he was not too much of oppressive, but he was very weak in decision making, wavering. This time I should do war or not, whether I impose tax or not. So he was a weak personality person. He was wavering in his decisions, fickle minded. Okay, inexperienced, inarticulate. For example, some minister will say, no, no, sir, we will do like this. He will say, okay. Then somebody else will say, no, no, we have to do like this. Okay. So like that, he was of wavering mind. His wife, Queen Mary Antoinette. Mary Antoinette. So she was from Austria. Austria की princess थी वो, right? She was strong in the sense she was having control over the king. Extravagant. Extravagant means lot of money she used to spend unnecessarily, wastage of money. We will see how it will play role in French Revolution. For example, COVID case, COVID time. We were struggling for oxygen, we were struggling for vaccine, we were struggling in terms of medical infrastructure. So rather than spending money, if somebody says, I want to create a statue, big statue, world's tallest statue, what you will call it? You will call it as extravaganza or misuse of the money. So likewise, she used to spend money wherever it is not required as per her own wishes. So this all these factors affected the governance negatively. Okay, so the politico-administrative machinery was misused by the officers and nobles. What do you understand by nobles? Rich elites. Basically, in historical terms, somebody who is occupying high offices, like king के जो ministers वगैरह हैं, them we generally term as nobles, right? Any rich person, for example, nowadays Ambani we can call noble. Can we? There is no hard and fast line, right? So ultimately, the elite people who were in the administration. Okay, so they fulfilled their interest. Now there is one term which we will I'll write here only. This you can note down. There was something called as LE LETTRE letter D letter D cash. This was basically an arrest warrant. There was a form. If somebody, if king wants to arrest somebody, there was certain form or arrest warrant which was supposed to be issued. Now this letter D cash, king has given to all his nobles, aristocrats, etc. Okay, what they used to do, they used to give it to somebody, sell it, you can use it. So this letter D cash or the arrest warrant was misused by nobles and aristocrats. So letter D cash, which was an arrest warrant, it was misused by nobles and aristocrats. What they used to do, this guy I don't like, he is creating trouble for me, I'll get him arrested. So like that, these farmers are creating trouble, I'll get them, like NSA, National Security Act, right? Sometimes we are imposing wherever it is not needed. So that is misuse of that act. Similarly, this letter D cash was being misused by the elite. Okay. Judicial system, yeah, that will come. Religious reasons, it will come. All we will cover. So, judicial legal system. The legal system was such that, for example, one area or one state of France is having certain rule. For example, theft of this book. It is an offense where you will be just warned, or you will not be put in jail. Just warning will be given in one state. In another state, your hands will be chopped. It is such an offense. So the laws were different in different places. The punishment for same offense was different in different places. Okay. So in one area, certain act is normal act. In another area, certain act is crime. So like that, there was no uniformity in the legal system. This word you can write, there was no uniformity in the legal system. So the judicial legal system was arbitrary, irrational, and non-uniform. There was no codified system of law. Means written rules kind of thing were not there. बना दिया, king ने बना दिया, governor ने बना दिया, some rule they will make and they will rule as per that. Okay. The order of the king was the law of the land. So one particular act which was not criminal in one area, it was criminal in another area. So because of these things, what will happen? Especially these things will affect the trade, right? These are criminal laws we are telling. There will be some law related to trade also. Something is taxable here, something is not taxable there. So this will create trade distortions. Okay. Letter D cash, I have already told you. Arrest warrants were misused. France was participating in many wars. American War of Independence has happened in 1776 and we are talking about 1789. France has sent its soldiers there to fight against Britishers. Okay, in USA, America. So French soldiers were continuously fighting wars for last so many years. So they were also frustrated. For example, Ukraine crisis nowadays. Russia is fighting. So army will get frustrated. So same thing has happened last so many years, last 20, 30, 40 years. French soldiers were fighting one war after another. So they were also frustrated and fed up with the working system or administrative system. Okay. Common people ka there was nothing, is a common point, normal point. So common people were not taken care by the administration. We will see the society ka framework also. What was the society? Now these were the political factors. So what were the things? Absolute monarchy, misuse of power, different laws, uh, feudal system, feudal system, and letter cash, extravaganza by queen. One more point you can note down. This feudal system, whichever I have mentioned, these governors, they were not fulfilling their duties. For example, uh, this is France. Governor of this area, he was given privilege, some privilege by the king. You can enjoy, you can have 50% of the tax. Okay, but you need not provide whatever your obligations are. I'll tell you. 100 years before Louis XVI, before 1789, that time king wanted to take control of everything. So, if he want to take control of everything, he has to weaken the governors. Let us see today's example. Narendra Modi Sahab is there, states are there, Stalin is there, uh, Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal is there. So many chief ministers are there. If Narendra Modi want to take control of whole of Indian polity, what he will do? He will weaken the states. Suddenly he cannot weaken the state. Slowly he will weaken the state. What he will say? You enjoy your privileges, whatever privileges are given. Duties के बारे में don't worry. Okay. So same thing has happened. Louis XIV or even before that, when they thought that these governors are rising, so to control them, to keep them in check, they said that you need not maintain too much of army. You enjoy your privileges. You don't bother about people. We will take care of the people. So the situation deteriorated such that in 1789, these feudal lords, what they were doing, they were enjoying the privileges, but they were not fulfilling the duty. So if people have any grievance, they never bothered about their grievance. So that was the deterioration of the administrative system. Okay, understood. You can write it. The feudal lords, they were enjoying the privileges but not fulfilling their duty towards people. Feudal lords, they were enjoying their privileges but not fulfilling their duty towards people. So this was the situation, political situation. You guys are not getting bored, no? Ma'am. Okay. So this was the political situation. Now social situation. Let us see what was the social situation. Basically, society was classified in two uh, groups. One was sorry. Broadly, society was classified in two groups. One was privileged class, another was unprivileged class. So privileged class में who are going to be there? King, nobles, aristocrats means royal family के ही some of the members who are ruling somewhere else, okay, or who are given important posts, powers. So privileged class में king, nobles, aristocrats, the church, the priest. Okay, so these were the privileged class. Unprivileged class, farmers, middle class, artisan. Artisan means the people who do different kind of work. For example, carpenter, potter, various kind of artisans, right? Bankers, etc. They were all unprivileged. So these were the two broad categories. Okay. Society was divided in three groups. These groups were called as estate. So society was divided in three groups. These groups were called as estate. So first estate was clergy. Clergy means the priest in the church or the heads of the church. Okay. So this was the first estate. Second estate all nobles, aristocrats, etc. Royal family. So this is the second estate. Third estate, common man. And common man includes everybody. Everybody means teacher, judicial people, farmers, artisans, bankers, everybody. Okay. First estate, second estate, third estate. Now, if we see out of these estates, who are the privileged class? So first and second estate are the privileged class, right? And these guys are the unprivileged class. So this was the society's composition. So privileged class, it formed smaller population. For example, if we say billionaire or the rich people in India are less than 10%. And how much resources they are occupying? 90%, not 90%, more than 40-50%, right? So similar situation was there. The privileged class was having small percentage of population, but they were occupying more resources. Okay, same thing is happening, concentration of wealth. Adani is getting richer and richer on the cost of ours, right? So they formed a small percentage of French population, but owned more than 35, even 40-50% of the resources. They lived luxurious lives. They were extravagant. They were their offices were monopolized. For example, this is leave it. I don't want to. But politically, the son of a politician is coming into politics. He is getting ticket from a particular party. So like that, the offices are getting judicial system for that matter. नेक्स्ट जज का बेटा he will come again supreme court में. Normal common person like us doing law, we cannot practice in supreme court. Judge का son only or daughter only, they are practicing in supreme court. It will be like contempt of court. So but that is the truth. That is the truth. Mostly if you see the trend of the advocates in supreme court, 80% of the advocates belong to previous judge or that family. Okay, that is the truth. Similarly, various offices. So same situation here. All high offices were monopolized by the privileged group. In spite of being too rich, no tax. Like we have seen, Madam Economics again. This बैंक का जो loan है, what we call that, waiver of the loan. It is happening for the bigger people, corporates. Thousands of crores of loans are waived off. And farmer को बेचारा 1 lakh rupee he will take loan, he has to pay until he is completely vanished. So that is the situation. That was the situation here. Unprivileged group, farmers, etc., merchant, traders, unemployed. They formed most of the French population, but the resources were very less at their disposal. Not even 65%, even lesser than that. These numbers are not important. So they were having lesser resources at their disposal. In third estate also, let me write it here. Third estate. There were certain middle class people. For example, advocates, teachers who were having decent money. They were also rich to certain extent. And then other commoners like farmers, etc., they were very common. So this third estate comprised of a middle class also, which was having good enough money. Okay. For example, nowadays, especially software companies, if you see, they are giving good package, right? They are giving decent money to the employees. So, so that kind of class, there is a certain class developed. If you see the metropolitan city, especially where IT companies are there are two type of people living in metropolitans. One is this IT industry ka class, and then common people, right? So certain kind of separate class is there. Similarly, in third estate also, middle class was there who were rich reasonably, and then common people like farmer, etc. Now this middle class, they want to go up in the status. They were aspiring for being in the second estate. So now on one hand, Ambani, Adani, Tata, etc. are there. बीच की लेयर में this IT industry और वो that level के rich people are there, and then नीचे हमारा जैसा like me, lower middle class person is there, right? So that was the situation. These guys were aspiring to have a higher status, but they were denied the higher status by the first and the second estate. Are you understanding? No, ma'am. No. I am a poor man now. I have started earning money. Okay. Now I have seen. I'll give you one example. For example, some officers club is there, sports club, that is accessible to the officer, IAS officer, IPS officer, etc. Okay. Then I am a person who is earning money. I have earned money. I have reached a status. I also aspire to be a part of such kind of club or such kind of activity that gives me the satisfaction of my status. But they will say, no, this is not for guys like you. This is for us only. Okay. So likewise, these rich people in the third estate also were aspiring for better elite or better status, which was denied by first estate and the second estate. Okay, so that was the situation. So they were having some angst, some frustration towards first estate and the second estate, right? Okay. So they were dissatisfied due to disparity. The sense of resentment was strongest among them. Why they are denying our legal right? Normally, a fundamental right way who talks? Educated person only. Rickshaw wala does not know what is fundamental right. You guys, me, we are preparing for civil service. We know what is fundamental. If somebody suppresses, we will only tell, na, you are breaching my fundamental rights. So similar situation. Okay. So the peasant formed 80% of the population of third estate. Third estate. Condition of peasant was okay, but tax imposition was huge. Every now and then, rather than imposing tax on first and second estate, whatever you impose tax on peasants. Like nowadays they are doing cess, education cess, environment का green cess or something. Everything they are imposing on the toll tax. You purchase vehicle, road tax you have to give. Then toll tax you have to give because same road was made. So ultimately, who is getting crushed? Middle class. We are paying. So same way, whenever some extra money was needed by the state, rather than imposing tax on rich people, they used to impose tax on the artisan and the farmer. Okay. Already they were under pressure, more pressure. So the peasants have limited resources. They were burdened with various kind of taxes. And because the state was involved in continuous war for last so many years, so when you are fighting a war, you need money. Your economy gets burdened. That is why we are not fighting war with China or Pakistan, because Pakistan is already in spoiled state. If we will fight, it will loss for us only, right? China is too high in terms of money power, so ultimately we will lose. So because of war, etc., burden was already there, and same burden was transferred to peasants from time to time. Some forced labor also they used to do. For example, king or the nobles or the rich people, they will force somebody, hey, you do this, and no money was paid. So that forced labor was called as corvée. Okay, so labor union was not there. So they had to face extreme social discrimination. So these are the two factors. One is political factor we have covered, social factor we have covered. Okay. Now these are some of the terms just for information, may or may not be needed, but at least you should know what is the meaning of that. Maybe sometimes UPSC may mention in their question, right? So this gabel was the salt tax, taille was the direct tax, some kind of direct tax, corvée, as we have already seen, forced labor, and tithe or tithe, how you pronounce it, it was the tax given by common people to church. Okay. So these are just some of the taxes. There were so many taxes. Audio is not clear. Sindhuja, you can speak. Hello. Is it okay now? Can you hear me? Mohana Lakshmi, Sindhuja.
No.
Yeah. Is it okay? Voice is okay? Okay, fine. So these are the types of taxes, three, four types, just for information, not to bother too much. Acha, before we do economic factors, let us do the religious factors. Then we will see the economic factors. When we have to take a break, you can tell me. Whenever you feel heavy or we'll take a break of 5 minutes and then we can start. So let us do the factors first and then we'll see. Okay. Or maybe religious factors and then last we'll see the economic factors. So religious factors में क्या था? France was predominantly was a Catholic state. There are three types of churches. One of the churches is Catholic Church. Will not go too much into that. So the institution of church was dominating over the state. Like people were bound by the religion. Here I have seen here we are too much emotional about religious sentiments. Like many babas and gurus are there where people are having their shraddha. That is good in one sense, but we should not be fooled by them. That is the point. So the institution of church was controlling the religious activities, and not only religious activities, they were having considerable influence on the king as well as the state also. Okay, so church had considerable or the influence to a large extent on the state. State means the king or the rule mein. So they have their own say. Church was managed by the clergymen or the priest class. This clergy class also was divided in two groups. Clergy. So when we say clergy, it means priestly class. So it was also divided in two groups, upper clergy and lower clergy. Now, who were the members of upper clergy? Like head of the churches, but many of them were either some nobles or some were related to noble family or sorry, royal family. So they were occupying. For example, BCCI nowadays, Board of Cricket Control of India. Huge money is there in that. You can keep it in the book. Huge money is there in BCCI, right? So somebody influential only will be the president of BCCI. Similarly, churches were having lot of property, land, lot of money was there. Okay, so the clergy or the controller, some religious leaders will be there, but many were either nobles or from the royal family or some royal influence they were having. That was the upper clergy. So they were basically controlling all the resources of the church. For example, somebody, I'll take some land here. I'll open one ashram. Then somebody will donate, and I'll accumulate a lot of money. I'll make some kind of mutt, etc. And then I'll try to control that property. So similar was the situation. Churches were having lot of resources, lot of land, lot of money, and there was a power game. Okay. So upper clergy, they were not bothered about religious affairs. They were not bothered about religious satisfaction of the people. They were more bothered about property, not revenue, the resources of the church. They were controlling the resources of the church. They were living the luxurious life. The lower clergy, this group of clergy, they were doing the actual that religious work. They were not having much of the resources at their disposal.
Sir, audio is not clear, sir.
Audio is not clear. I think I need to speak at slow pace. Is it okay now? Hello. Hello, Sindhuja. Uh, what to be done? Can you hear me now? I think net connectivity issue is there. No, continuous connection is not there. Hello, Sindhuja, Mohan Lakshmi, Mohana Lakshmi. Okay. Sindhuja, can you hear me? Mohana Lakshmi can hear me. Either there might be some net connection issue. Anyway, uh, so the lower clergy, even they were also priestly class, but they were not having much of resources. They were living normal life. They were not living luxurious life. They were more into the religious affairs of the church, which they are supposed to do, right? So church का जो actual affairs this lower clergy was doing. So there was a gap between upper clergy and lower clergy also, right? So this is what I have mentioned here. So many of the clergy in the lower clergy members were coming from the commoners. The higher clergy behaved like nobles within the institution of church, little interest in religious activities. They enjoyed the wealth and luxury. They were exempted from the taxes. They were having a lot of money but still exempted from the taxes. They used to get the royal gifts. So gift भी मिल रहा है उनको. So huge influence over the king, highly prosperous. Lower clergy were the men of religion, mostly perform all the religious activities. They had to suffer discrimination at the hand of higher clergy. They were having normal minimal salary, lesser revenues or land at their disposal, right? So upper clergy and lower clergy, two different layers were there. So there was a discontent, disaffection against the upper clergy. There was a gap between upper clergy and lower clergy. So we will see whenever discussion will happen in French Revolution, lower clergy generally used to support the middle class or the commoners. They used to support the cause of the commoners. Obviously, the upper clergy will not. Okay, so let us take a break now. Economic factors and role of philosophers. After this, we will do. What is the time now? 15:51, 3:51. So maybe around 4 o'clock or 4 or 5, we will start. 10-15 minutes break, less than 10 minutes. So around 4 o'clock we will start, right? Is it becoming too much, or we are covering too slow? Are we going too slow? It is normal pace, no? Actually, for me, we are going a bit slow now. Later on, we'll pick up the pace. Once you are accustomed with the situations and all, then we'll pick up the pace. The more interesting thing will happen around World War I. Then when German unification will do, na, that time more interesting thing. Today's current affairs, why Russia and Britain are anti. What is the role of Ukraine or that area? What is the role? What is the Balkan area? So that will be interesting. Or Cold War also. If we will do these slides, whatever slides we will provide to you, by and large, same content will be used, only wrapper they will change. Out of this content only questions are going to come. History का सबसे बड़ा advantage, this is the biggest advantage, content is limited, it is not going to change. So questions either this way or that way or whichever way, they will ask from this content only. So if you are clear about the content, you can answer anything. So you guys are reading the Hindu, the Hindu. So you might be knowing what are, अच्छा अभी तो सुडोकू कर रहे हो. You guys understand Hindi to some extent? No, no, not at all. No. Tamil Kunjam theory. None. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Oh, great, ma'am. Okay, what do you teach? Okay. अरे वाह, great. Please, ma'am. Yeah, yeah. So, what time you will leave? 4:30. So 4:30 you will leave, no? Half an hour I'll try to cover something. No. Slides we will share in the group. So you can. Acha. So tomorrow you see you can talk to the administration. Tomorrow generally I am free Sunday. So this class rather I think tomorrow also 2 to 5 is the class time. So if needed, morning it can be planned. You can talk to the administration. They can let me know. So it is up to you. Morning. So today now only after this class we can confirm it. So if needed like 9 to 12 or whatever way, that way we can do it. 9 to 12. Others also you can in consensus you can decide. Okay. So you can tell them and I am okay with that. So they can communicate. So करेंगे start. We'll start it. You guys don't want to take break, no? So let us start it. Sindhuja has gone out. Okay. अच्छा history में before we start the class, whether it is world history, whether it is Indian history or wherever, there was a common trend. Common trend in the sense First we were apes, right? Just I'm not anthropology class me hai, I'm not going in detail, but just a common trend of how the state evolved. Like apes, Homo erectus, obviously apes were also in the groups. Homo erectus human being also was in the group. Then erectus means standing straight. The spine we studied standing straight. Then Homo, hand using, brain use करना शुरू किया, right? And we were living in the groups. We were living. मैम मेरे को सुनता थोड़ा ऊंचा. So we were living in the groups. We were roaming around. Then what we started, the first role of human being means what we used to do, hunting, gathering. We used to roam around, we used to hunt, eat, or gather food, eat. Hunter gatherer. Then food producer. All these things we are going to see when we'll start ancient India. Okay. So what happened? We were roaming around, gathering food, etc. We observed certain things. First thing, certain animals are harmful or dangerous. Certain animals are very so-called not so dangerous. So we started domesticating. Domesticating in the sense they were living with the herd. Okay. Till now we are not settled. Till now we are not settled. We have seen certain plants, they are growing at a particular time in particular season, and then in particular season they die. Okay. So what we have done, domestication of animals and plants. And while doing this domestication, we are not settled at one place. So we are in the tribe, we are roaming around. At one time we are settled. After some time we will move. After some time we'll move. After some time we'll move. So we are just moving tribe. Okay, tribe. So this is the period up to Rigveda, etc. Then after some time, we thought it is better to settle at one place. We understood that this plant, after certain time, I can grow at this place itself. Okay, so then settled territories. Settled territories. Then extension of these territories. Uska territory bhi something I'll take. Something I'll take. Okay, so this is Janpadas and then Mahajanpadas, right? Bigger territories like Magad, Kaushal, etc. Various. So that is the trend, and this state system started from this point. From here, some of the people will say, "You safeguard us." Not even here, tribe में, they will say कि you are the head, you save us. Okay. For example, one tribe, another tribe attacks. They will say you are the strongest person, you save us. We will oblige you with certain gift, etc. Okay. So that concept started. After settling territories, this concept of state started. Okay. We will see that. Just this is the broad understanding. Okay. So before this economic factors, let us see. Condition of France was very bad. Condition of France was very bad. France was at the verge of bankruptcy in 1780. France was facing a severe economic crisis. Much of industrial, these are some extra unnecessary points, but that's okay. Some industries and all those kind of setup was not there. So ultimately, what we'll call revenue generation or the employment part or trade part, nothing was there. So French industry was handicraft based, production was very low. French agriculture was also in poor state. Most of the land was controlled by church or the feudal lord. The laws were different. Because of that, trade distortion used to happen. Trade and commerce were also in underdeveloped state. Lack of progress. Judicial system hindered the economy. The guild, whatever guilds were there, that was also causing distortion in the trade. Because, for example, APMCs. APMCs, what are APMCs? Agricultural Produce Marketing Committees. So because of the distortion or because of misuse of the guild system, also the trade was in distorted state. Will not go too much in detail. We can go if you want me to research. I'll find out and tell you. Nobody could start an economic activity without permission of the guilds. Because of this, economic activities were not allowed to prosper. The taxation system was also faulty. Privileged class was free from taxes. Unprivileged class was imposed heavy burden of taxation. The budget was not properly maintained in France. Normally, we curtail our expenditure as per the income, but here the revenues or the taxes were imposed so as to meet the expenditure of the kings and the nobles and the aristocrats or the state. So first expenditure was defined, then revenues were defined. किसके ऊपर on whom we want to impose tax, that was also decided. So instead of managing expenditure as per income, the state used to manage income as per the expenditure. So that was the state. King used to give grants to his favorites. Nobles and queens used to waste money in their unnecessary expenditures. Continuous participation in the wars has deteriorated the treasury of the state. Economic burden, huge economic burden was there. Example, you can give 2-3 examples of the wars. American War of Independence was the immediate war. 1776 it has happened. Up to 1783 or 84 it has gone. So France was participating. So it was burden on the treasury of France. So participation in the wars caused burden on the treasury of France. Apart from that, Austrian War of Succession, this is an example. When Louis XVI sat on the throne, the condition of France was already bad. Instead of taking appropriate steps, he participated in American War of Independence. Okay. So because of this participation, France reached at the verge of bankruptcy. Now, time to time, various finance ministers were nominated or appointed to bring France out of this situation. So most of the finance ministers, what they, after analyzing What they used to tell, sir, we have to impose tax on first estate and the second estate. We have to get more and more revenue. But whenever such proposal was proposed by the finance minister, obviously first estate and second estate will not allow it, will not let it happen. So either that finance minister was supposed to be removed or he was supposed to be punished. So that used to happen. Okay. French Revolution happened because of this issue. Let me tell you, books mein you will never understand. You see how complicated way they have written all these things. What happened when they participated in American War of Independence? Situation was very bad. Bankruptcy pe tha. Again, another finance minister was imposed, and it was discussed how to bring out France from this crisis. Okay. When it was proposed ki let us put tax on first and second estate, it was declined. Now 160 years back from this point, there was a provision, there was some kind of organization. I'll give you analogy, some kind of committee, you can say. Whenever some new tax has to be imposed, some committee has to decide how and on whom or how much tax will be imposed. Okay. So when the situation of France was bad in 1789, and the finance minister said that some taxation arrangement has to be made, it came out that if we want to impose tax on first estate, second estate, or the commoner, a meeting has to be called. Meeting of whom? Meeting of estate generals. So 160 years or 200 years, almost 160, 170 years back, this organization used to decide किसके ऊपर tax लगेगा, how much tax will be there, like that. But for last 160 years, the meeting has not been called. Now it was a prestige issue. Okay. So when we are calling such let me give you an analogy, otherwise you will not understand. For example, let me give Modi ka example. India, for example, now government, if they simply they start imposing certain things, and somebody tell no, before imposing this you have to do certain kind of meeting or committee, like in parliament it is happening. These three farmers act, when they brought, opposition was telling no, discussion has to happen. But government, because being in majority, straight away they passed without discussion. Or many of the laws are nowadays being passed straight away without discussion. Okay. Now if somebody force government to come on discussion, they take it as a matter of prestige. So that was the situation. The king did not want to call the meeting of the estate general. The clergy and the second estate also did not want to call the meeting of estate general. Okay, but the pressure was huge. So king was forced to call the meeting of the estate general. Now what is estate general? Estate general was a body in which all three were there. First estate, second estate, third estate. Okay. So clergy will be there, nobles will be there, commoners will be there. And the numbers were, for example, 100, this was double. Sometimes what happens, good king comes, he brings those changes. So in the past it has happened, he increased their number, some good king. Right? So when they will call this meeting, and then voting will happen, for example, they will call the meeting, somebody will say कि common man पे tax की बजाय church पे we will put the tax. then voting will happen. Now, what used to happen? One vote for them, one vote for them, and one vote for them. If you will impose tax on these guys, they will not vote. They will negatively vote. Are you understanding, man? Or Hana? And this guy will be left alone. So this was the situation. The meeting of Estate General he does not want to call. 5th of May 1789, the king was forced to call the meeting of Estate General. So it was the start of French Revolution. Whatever economic situation was there, because of pressure of the people, because of pressure of the commoner and the bad state of the state, economic state of the state, king was forced to call the meeting of Estate General. So that is the start of French Revolution. So that happened 5th of May 1789 under pressure. He said, okay, we will call the meeting. So this happened almost after 160, 170 years. Okay. So just to make you understand, so tax collection system was faulty. Collectors misused the authority. Poor had no capacity to pay the tax. Rich were not ready to pay the tax. Under these circumstances, when king had to summon the section of Estate General or meeting of Estate General to decide the issue of taxation. So king was forced to call this meeting, Estate General ka. Okay. So this was the economic condition. So what we have seen: political condition, social condition, religious condition, and economic condition. Now, what was the role of philosophers? So these are the 5 factors. If somebody asks you, whichever way, somebody says ki French Revolution was more of a social unrest than an economic unrest. French Revolution was more of the social unrest than uh, economic condition or whatever. Critically analyze. So what do you have to do? Critical analyze means this side and that side. So you know what are the social factors. Society was divided in 3 parts: clergy, this, that, right? You will write something about that. And there were discriminations. Economic factors, economic factors are very important. है ना? Then you will analyze the economic part: bankruptcy, American War of Independence, and financial burden on third estate, etc. And French Revolution mainly happened because of the combination of both. Then you will conclude like this: it is not just the social, not just the economic, but combination of both. This is how you are going to answer, right? So package will be same, questions will be derived out of it. So you have to apply your mind. What are the things? So we know here social aspect is there, but immediate reason was financial condition of the state. Acha, philosophers. Role of philosophers. Anywhere in the world, the educated, intelligent people, they will fuel the fire. They will fuel the fire. If some anger is there against somebody, the educated people will fuel that fire. So same thing these guys have done. So 3 big names are there. Many philosophers were there, but 3 big names we will note down. One was Montesquieu. Acha, let me ask you, are you being exploited? Rousseau. A. Rousseau. Are you being exploited? Tell me. Exploited means, do you think you are being exploited? Yes or no? No. Why not? I would say you are supposed to get enough job opportunities which are not given to you. Government means the people, the politicians are eating your money or the country's money. They are not investing that money in employment creating opportunities. You think unemployment is there, but you think how many job opportunities they have given to you. They are opening engineering colleges, etc. Are they providing you enough job opportunities? No, because they are eating your money. They are putting that money, thousands of crores of money, in their election campaign illegally. If they would have invested that money in creating some kind of public sector undertaking or some industry or something, you would have got a good job. So you are being exploited. You are being exploited without yourself knowing. Right? Full generation is being wasted. The current generation, they're not providing your, they are making you fight for reservation. 10 lakh people are there, 1,000 jobs are there, and they will say we will give 20% reservation to this guy, 10% reservation to this guy. Ultimately, you will provide only 1,000 jobs, whomsoever you provide. What about those remaining 9 lakh 99,000, whatever number? What about those? You're not creating job for them. So ultimately, we are being exploited. So likewise, these philosophers, they put in the mind of the people. Means people were already they were aware that all burden is being put on my head. So these guys also told ki you can do this, you can do that in such a situation. Okay, so let us see what they told them. So situation you already know. The common people were being burdened by everything. They were discriminated. Now these three guys, Montesquieu, one by one, let us see. Montesquieu, what he said, he published a book or a journal called as Spirit of Law. Spirit of Law. He had been to Britain. He has seen the British constitutional monarchy. Now you understand, है ना? Constitutional. He has been to Britain, अपना higher education etc. के लिए he has gone to Britain, and there he saw a different kind of political system, which is constitutional monarchy. Constitution is there, something called as constitution. Then he realized that this absolute monarchy in France is not good. There also should be constitutional monarchy. For example, some of us will go to US and we see some kind of system, and then we come to India and we'll tell here that system is better, that should be implemented here. The same way this guy went to Britain, he saw the merits of the constitutional monarchy. He thought the constitutional monarchy will be good for France also. So he emphasized that absolute monarchy of France was the mother of all evils. So whatever French problems are there, that is because of absolute monarchy. So he started putting in the mind of the people. You are suffering because king is there. There should be some constitution. King should be there, but constitution should be there. Law should be made like that. Britain, you see how it is happening. So like that. So he demanded the separation of power. What do we mean by separation of power? Executive separate, legislature separate, judiciary separate. Absolute monarchy means all together. So if they will be separate, they will be independent, so it will be better functioning. And he asked separation of power, and he asked government based upon principle of popular sovereignty. Popular sovereignty means people's sovereignty, people's power. recognition of natural rights of man. Next person, Voltaire. Just two, three more lines we are not noting. So, Montesquieu talked about constitutional monarchy, popular sovereignty. Voltaire talked about churches. There are wrong things happening in the churches. He condemned the churches. So, Voltaire's philosophy, his focus was mainly upon evils of church. He condemned the churches. He said there is bigotry. Bigotry means partiality, different kind of stand. On the face, they are becoming good, but in the heart, they are bad. So that is basically bigotry. So they are promoting superstition. So like that, he condemned the, for example, nowadays Babas. Many people will say, I'll do this and something will disappear. So this is all superstition. So that way they were promoting superstition. So Voltaire condemned the churches for such activities. He exposed the evils prevailing in churches. Okay. For example, Asaram Bapu. You know Asaram Bapu? No. He was very popular in Gujarat. In North India, one religious guru, Asaram Bapu. And many of the please don't take it the other way if you are having some religious sentiment for somebody. But my personal opinion about most of these religious gurus are their whatever place is there. Many of the scandals happen: narcotics, sexual abuse, money. So many things happen. Most of them. That is my opinion. I may be wrong also, but I have that firm opinion based upon experience. Right? So many things we have seen. So that is the thing. So Voltaire exposed the churches because of whatever reason. Now Rousseau, he is very important philosopher as far as French Revolution is concerned. Rousseau. One full-fledged question may come on Rousseau. So Rousseau basically he talked about two things. Ma'am, whenever you want to go, you can go. You are free. No? So he talked about two things. One is so whenever any question on Rousseau will come, you will mention these two things. Origin of inequality and social contract or theory of social contracts. Rousseau talked about these two things. So what he says, origin of inequality. He says that inequality is of two types. Inequality is of two types. One is natural, one is man-made or artificial. For example, male, female, animal, human being, monkey, tiger, etc. These are the inequalities which are natural inequalities. Okay. Artificial inequality, rich, poor, Hindu, Muslim. Okay. So these are the inequalities which are man-made. So what he says, natural inequality is needed for the world to function. That is good for human being or for the world. Natural inequality is good, but artificial inequality based upon material possession is exploitative. So rich, poor, it is exploitative. So we should avoid artificial inequality. So that was his thing. He put in the mind of the people. Okay. Then second thing was social contract. He published the book in 1762. This is not needed, not need to remember dates and all. Social contract, theory of social contract. What he said, initially when there was no state, we were like a tribe. We were living in the group. Then as the state system was evolving, the people, they surrendered some of their privileges to one person, and they said, you take care of us. As you are taking care of us, we are surrendering our privileges. Okay. But in turn, you have to take care of us. If the person is not taking care of us, then we can take our privileges back. We can remove him. That was the theory of social contract. So what he says, there is a contract between king and the people. People have surrendered their contract to the king so that he is supposed to take care of the people. If king is not taking care of the people, then people have every right to throw him away. That he put in the mind of the people. So you see, what was the situation when somebody is frustrated or he is imposing? Yeah, he is not obliging the contract, then you also rise against him. So that way, philosophers played their role. So community transferred some of the powers to the king, and king had agreed to use those powers for the benefit of all. Community is the source of power of the state, or the people are the source of power of the state. It is above the state. Democracy बोलते हैं ना. So we the people are above the prime minister, above the home minister. It is not ulta. They are not above us. We have elected them. We have given our privileges to them to take care of us. So he also emphasized that if king does not abide by the principle of social contract, misuse the power, then community has every right to overthrow the king. Okay. In this way, Rousseau justified a mass revolution against a exploitative regime. So we can revolt. Okay. So this is how French Revolution happened. ये situation था. Meeting of the Estate General. Then there will be sequence of events that we will see what happened first, then the next, then next. 14th of July, there is a celebration in France. There is a celebration in France. Our Prime Minister is going there. Okay. That celebration is called as 14th of July, Bastille Day. Prime Minister will go there. So this is the incident which happened in French Revolution. People attacked. There was a fort of Bastille in Paris nearby. So people attacked for weapon in that fort because they got to know the king is going to suppress, use army against the people. So the people attacked the fort of Bastille. They looted the weapons, and that day was celebrated as a day against the exploitative regime, to commemorate that people took power in their hand. So this was the first time when the French Revolution started becoming violent. Violence started in French Revolution. Okay. Anyway, I am going to cover all these incidents just to make it interesting. Prime Minister is going there for being a part of this day. Okay, France. Now, so what has happened? इस पे एक question बनता है. Just one question, then you can leave. It's important. Just one question. So what means the question was, if there would have been no Rousseau, there would have been no French Revolution. What do you understand? So if Rousseau would have not been there, no French Revolution. Do you agree with that? You are agreeing. You see, now the tricky point here is people were angry already. People were angry. They were frustrated. They were fed up with the regime. What Rousseau did, he put some fuel only. If Rousseau would have not been there, people were still angry. Maybe after some time, their patience would have burst out. So, what role was played by Rousseau? Only thing is that burst has happened earlier. It does not mean that Rousseau knew that the French Revolution might have not happened because they were almost at the brink of the outburst. So Rousseau blasted that. So बाकी तो course of history we do not know. They might have taken some other economic um, policy or something. But by and large, we can safely say that Rousseau expedited the French Revolution. It happened earlier. If Rousseau would have not been there, it would have happened after some time. है ना? So that is the thing. Okay. So impact or the role of the philosophers. Just 10-15 minutes we will teach and then we'll stop it. Because this is the first day after a long time I am also teaching, 3 hours continuous. Speeches and writing of French philosopher Montesquieu, etc. Mass was exposed to the evils prevailing in socio-religious scenario. I'll connect it with the current scenario. Why BJP government wins? Because they appeal to the lower middle class people, lower middle class who are not so educated. Upper middle class who are educated, they are limited in number. They are kind of knowing where the trick is being played and all. Now, if you tell those lower middle class people that no, they are just gimmicking the words. Just an example, I am not anti BJP, but that is a trend that has been observed. So if you tell them over the year with, for example, sports person. Earlier they were hardcore supporters of BJP, the wrestlers. Now they realized that they do not bother about us. We have brought gold medal, Olympic medal, blah blah or something, but nobody bothers about us. So likewise, all strata, when they will feel oppressed, and then somebody will tell you, see, he is just speaking. He talks about women respect, beti bachao, etc. He is not bothered. Somebody is sexually exploited. Never bothered to even say a single word or ask them what has happened. So that way things happen. So these guys, philosophers, did that. They exposed the evils. The efforts made by philosophers significantly reduced the influence of the state and church over the mind of the people. Most important thing, your news channels. One is for DMK, one is for ADMK, one is for another party. All party have their own channels, right? They are feeding in the mind of the people that our party is the best. So 10 days if I say you that Prime Minister Modi is bad, Prime Minister Modi is bad, Prime Minister Modi is bad, you will also start thinking, is he bad? And then after some time, yeah, he is bad. So that is the power of putting information in your mind, reinforcement of ideas. That is why Japanese education system, first 8 years, as your teacher also, first 8 years, they teach value to the kids. Because first 8 years mean that reinforcement or formation of ideas, formation of thought process, formation of personality happens. So one of the video I was seeing, just some kind of bus, kind of, for example, we assume this classroom as a bus and passengers are sitting, one pregnant lady, child only. So some pillow they have put up in the t-shirt and she was acting as a 3-4 years child only. She was acting as a pregnant lady. Somebody having stick, he was acting as a old man. Okay, then uh, passengers are sitting. So pregnant lady will come. So one child will get up and he will give seat to the pregnant lady. Similarly, one old man, that child will come, he will give seat to the. So these values they are putting in the mind of the kids. That is the beauty of their education system that we should also do. So efforts made by the philosophers had significantly reduced the influence of state and church on the mind and heart of the people. They could see the reality. Already I have explained it, Hannah. You can read the slides. So what was the impact of the philosophers? Because of their speeches, etc., revolution broke out. Rest of the things we can see tomorrow. आज कितना time हो गया ना? 38. चलो, today let us stop it here only, है ना? So tomorrow 9 o'clock, 9 to 12. ठीक, thank you. So tomorrow we are going to see Napoleon Bonaparte. After this revolution part, when revolution happened, some incidents we will see. Then violence will happen in France. People did not opt for that. They wanted the regime change. They wanted a better future, but violence happened, and during that violent scenario, Napoleon Bonaparte will come into picture. Okay. Thank you very much. These slides I'll put in the group. ये जो academy का one group is, all of you are member. I think you are ready. I'll share in the group. Okay.
Wow. நல்லா இருக்கு முன்னாடி ஒரு ஸ்கிரீன் முன்னாடி ஒரு ஸ்கிரீன் கண்ட்ரோல் இருக்கு ஒழுவாது அதுதான் ஒழுவும் இல்ல அதுக்கு கெமிக்கல் நீங்க போட்டு நாளைக்கு நான் போடுறோம் ஏசி போட்டு போட்டுறோம் அங்க ரிப்பீட் சேஞ்ச் சார் இப்பதான் முடிச்சோம் ஐஏஎஸ் ஐஆர்பி யூபிஎஸ்சி தானே எங்களுக்கு தேவை ஐஏஎஸ் தான் சொல்லணும் நீங்க படிக்கிறது ஐஏஎஸ் தான் படிக்கிறீங்க நீங்க எனக்கு ஐஆர்பி யாரு இது வந்து எனக்கு